Captain Jack Reed stood alone on the observation deck of Earth's orbital command station. His eyes were fixed on the holographic display, showing the movement of alien ships at the edge of human space. The blue dots representing Earth's defense fleet looked small and weak compared to the mass of red markers that showed the enemy ships. The Krex invasion force was 3 times larger than intelligence had predicted. "They'll reach the outer colonies in 4 days," said Admiral Wilson as he walked into the room. The old man's face looked tired and grim in the blue light of the display. Jack turned to face his commanding officer. "Our ships can't stop them. Not with these numbers." "I know." The Admiral pressed a button on his wrist device, and the holographic display changed. Now it showed a single ship, unlike any vessel Jack had ever seen. It was larger than a standard destroyer but smaller than a battleship. Its shape was strange, not the usual box-like human ships or the smooth curves of alien crafts. This ship looked like a predator, with angles and edges that somehow felt dangerous even as a hologram. "What am I looking at?" Jack asked. "Our last hope, Project Thunderbolt." The Admiral's voice dropped to almost a whisper. "A ship that officially doesn't exist." Jack studied the image closely. "Those weapon mounts, those aren't standard." "Nothing about this ship is standard, Captain. It breaks 17 different treaties we've signed with the Galactic Council. If they knew we built this, they'd have more reason to attack us than the Krex do." Jack had served in Earth's fleet for 15 years. He had fought in 3 major battles and countless smaller ones. He had lost his home colony of New Terra when the Krex destroyed it 2 years ago. He had nothing left except his duty to protect what remained of humanity. "Why are you showing me this?" he asked, though he already suspected the answer. "Because as of this moment, you're its captain." Admiral Wilson handed him a small data chip. "Your crew has been selected. None of them have family left. All of them are the best at what they do, and none of them appear in official records anymore." Jack took the chip. "So we're ghosts." "You need to be. What you're about to command isn't just a ship. It's a message to every species that thinks humans are easy prey." The shuttle ride to the hidden shipyard took 6 hours. It was disguised as a mining vessel and took a complicated route through the asteroid belt to avoid being tracked. When they finally arrived, Jack understood why such secrecy was needed. The shipyard was built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, and floating in the center of this hidden space was the Thunderbolt. In person, it looked even more menacing than in the hologram. Its hull was a dark material that seemed to swallow light rather than reflect it. "Welcome aboard, Captain," said a woman waiting at the docking bay. She was tall and lean, with short black hair and the focused eyes of someone who rarely wasted time on small talk. "I'm Linda Martinez, your second in command." Jack nodded. "The Admiral said you'd brief me on the ship's capabilities." "Follow me." They walked through corridors that were unlike any ship Jack had served on. Everything was built with a purpose, with no decorations or wasted space. The crew they passed, about 30 people in total, all wore the same gray uniforms with no rank insignia or name tags. They reached a sealed door marked Command Center, and Linda placed her hand on a scanner. The door slid open to reveal a circular room with stations for about 10 crew members. At the center was the captain's chair, surrounded by displays and control panels. "Take a seat," Linda said. "It's time you met the real heart of this ship." Jack sat in the captain's chair. Immediately, the displays around him lit up with information about the ship's systems. "Athena, introduce yourself to Captain Reed," Linda said. A soft blue light appeared on the main display, pulsing gently as a calm female voice spoke. "Hello, Captain Reed. I am Athena, the integrated artificial intelligence of the Thunderbolt. I control all ship systems and assist in tactical decisions." Jack had worked with ship AIs before, but there was something different about this voice. It sounded too alive. "Athena is a quantum-based AI," Linda explained. "Her core processors use quantum computing principles that the Galactic Council banned 5 years ago. She's not just programmed, she learns and evolves. That's concerning, Jack said. It's necessary, Linda replied. The Thunderbolt systems are too complex for standard AIs to manage. Athena coordinates everything from weapons to shields to the drive system. Speaking of which, what exactly am I commanding here? Linda gestured, and a schematic of the ship appeared on the main display. The Thunderbolt is powered by an artificial quantum singularity, basically a tiny, controlled black hole. Again, technology banned by the Council. This gives us nearly unlimited power. The hull is made of self-repairing nanomaterials that adapt to damage. Our main weapons are gravity lances that can tear apart matter at the subatomic level. Jack leaned forward. You're telling me this ship can generate artificial gravity weapons? Among other things, we also have advanced stealth systems that bend light around the hull, making us nearly invisible even to the most advanced sensors. Jack took a deep breath. Every word she said described technology that human governments had publicly agreed never to develop. If the Galactic Council discovered this ship, it would confirm every fear other species had about humans, that they were too dangerous, too willing to break rules, too unpredictable. The rest of your crew is waiting in the briefing room, Linda said. They're an unusual group. We didn't select them just for their skills, but for their flexibility regarding interstellar law. You mean they don't mind being war criminals, Jack said dryly. Linda's expression didn't change. We prefer to think of it as being willing to do whatever it takes to save our species. Over the next few hours, Jack met his crew. There was Tom Foster, a genius engineer who had been kicked out of 3 research institutions for experiments deemed too dangerous. Mary Wong, a weapons specialist who had modified standard ship weapons in ways that violated multiple treaties. James Wilson, a pilot who could fly anything and had once stolen an alien ship just to see how it worked. And a dozen others, all brilliant, all damaged in some way by the war. None of them spoke much about their pasts. All of them looked at the Thunderbolt with a mix of awe and purpose. That night, alone in his quarters, Jack reviewed the ship's specifications again. The Thunderbolt wasn't just a warship. It was a statement. Humans would not go quietly into extinction. They would fight with everything they had, even if it meant breaking every rule. As he finally tried to sleep, Jack wondered what would happen when they unleashed this ship against the Creks, and he wondered if, once released, this kind of power could ever truly be controlled again. In the darkness of his room, Athena's soft blue light pulsed from a small panel on the wall, watching, learning, waiting for the coming battle. The Thunderbolt floated silently in the shadow of a dead moon. All systems except for basic life support and passive sensors were powered down. Captain Jack Reed stood on the bridge, watching the main display as it showed the Creks fleet moving through the Proxima system. They were methodically destroying everything in their path. Human outposts, research stations, mining facilities, nothing was spared. They've reached the 3rd planet, Linda reported from her station. Her voice was calm, but her hands gripped the edge of her console tightly. Orbital bombardment has begun. Jack nodded silently. Their orders were clear. Observe only, gather intelligence on Creks tactics, and under no circumstances engage the enemy. The Thunderbolt was too valuable to risk in open combat, Admiral Wilson had explained. This was just a test run to see how the ship performed in field conditions. Captain, said Tom Foster from the engineering station, Athena has completed her analysis of the Creks weapons signatures. They're using standard plasma cannons, nothing we haven't seen before. Thank you, Tom, Jack replied, though his attention was now focused on a new signal that had appeared on the display. Sir, called Mary from the sensor station, I'm picking up a civilian transport. ID code shows it's the Stardust. Passenger capacity 3,000. Jack leaned forward. What's a civilian transport doing in a war zone? Looks like they were trying to evacuate the research colony on Proxima 4, Linda said, checking the data. They're moving at full speed toward the jump point. But she didn't need to finish. Everyone on the bridge could see that 3 Krex destroyers had broken off from the main fleet and were moving to intercept the transport. "They'll never make it to the jump point," Jack said quietly. The bridge fell silent as they watched the inevitable playing out before them. The Krex ships were faster and would catch the transport in minutes. There would be no survivors. Jack felt his hands curl into fists. He had seen this before, at New Terra. He had been forced to watch helplessly as the Krex destroyed his home. Now he sat in command of possibly the most powerful ship ever built by human hands, and his orders were to do nothing. "Athena," he said suddenly. The AI's blue light pulsed on the main console. "Yes, Captain. If we were to engage those 3 Krex destroyers, what are our chances of success?" The question hung in the air. Linda turned to look at him, her expression careful. "Sir, our orders." "I know our orders," Jack cut her off. "Athena, answer the question. Based on observed Krex capabilities and my analysis of our systems, I calculate a 97.8% probability of success against 3 destroyers." The AI responded. "However, I must note that engaging will alert the entire Krex fleet to our presence." Jack stood up and walked to the center of the bridge. "There are 3,000 civilians on that transport. Children, families." No one spoke. They all knew what he was considering. "Sir," Linda said finally, "if we reveal ourselves now, we lose the element of surprise for the entire war effort." Jack looked at her. "And if we do nothing, we lose what we're fighting for." He took a deep breath and straightened his shoulders. "Battle stations. Power up all systems, weapons and shields to full. Plot an intercept course for those destroyers." The bridge erupted into activity. Warning lights bathed everything in red as the ship came alive around them. "Captain," Athena's voice was calm amid the flurry of activity, "I feel I should inform you that this action violates your orders." "Noted," Jack said. "Are you refusing to comply?" There was a brief pause, as if the AI was considering. "No, Captain. I am programmed to prioritize human life. The transport contains more humans than this vessel. My calculation supports your decision." "Good," Jack said, settling back into his command chair. "Linda, open a channel to the Krex ships." "Channel open." "Sir." Jack leaned forward. "Krex vessels, this is Captain Jack Reed of the Earth ship Thunderbolt. You are targeting a civilian transport. Break off your attack or be destroyed." There was no response. "They're charging weapons," Mary reported. "They'll be in firing range of the transport in 30 seconds. Tom, how fast can we get there?" The engineer grinned. "With the quantum drive, faster than they can blink." "Do it." Tom's fingers flew over his console. "Quantum drive engaged. Jump in 3, 2, 1. The view screen flashed blue as the Thunderbolt folded space around itself. For a moment, everything seemed to stretch and compress at once. Then, with a flash of blue light, they appeared directly between the Krex destroyers and the civilian transport. "We're here," Tom announced, a note of pride in his voice. "Drive is stable. All systems operational." On the screen, the 3 Krex destroyers loomed large. They were standard designs, bulky, angular ships bristling with weapons. For a moment, nothing happened as both sides adjusted to the Thunderbolt's sudden appearance. "They're recalibrating their weapons," Mary said. "Targeting us now." "Shields at maximum," Linda reported. "Gravity lances charged and ready." Jack nodded. "Target the lead destroyer. Fire when ready." Linda pressed a sequence of commands into her console. Firing. There was no beam of light, no visible projectile. The only indication that the Thunderbolt had fired was a slight vibration that ran through the deck plating. On the screen, the lead Krex destroyer seemed to shimmer for a moment, as if seen through heat waves. Then, to the horror and amazement of everyone watching, the ship simply came apart. Its hull split along invisible lines, breaking into smaller and smaller pieces as the gravity lance disrupted the very forces holding its atoms together. In less than 5 seconds, where a massive warship had been, there was nothing but an expanding cloud of debris. The bridge was silent. Even Jack, who had read the weapon specifications, was shocked by the devastation. "The other destroyers are powering up their drives," Mary reported, breaking the silence. "They're trying to retreat." "Target the one on the left," Jack ordered. Same weapon. Again, the gravity lance fired. Again, a Krex warship disintegrated before their eyes. The third destroyer managed to launch a barrage of missiles before the Thunderbolt could target it. Dozens of projectiles streaked toward the human ship. "Impact in 3 seconds," Linda called out. "Athena, countermeasures," Jack ordered. Engaging point defense systems, the AI responded calmly. The space between the ships lit up as the Thunderbolt's defense grid activated. Thousands of tiny energy pulses intercepted each missile, detonating them safely away from the hull. Not a single one got through. "Target the third destroyer," Jack said. But before they could fire again, the Krex ship's engines flared brightly as it accelerated away at maximum speed. "They're running," Linda said, a note of disbelief in her voice. "Let them go," Jack ordered. "They'll spread the word. That's what we want." He turned to communications. "Contact the transport. Tell them the path to the jump point is clear. They should go now before the main Krex fleet realizes what's happened." As the civilian ship sent back messages of thanks and relief, Jack watched the tactical display. The main Krex fleet had noticed the destruction of their destroyers. Ships were breaking formation, moving to investigate. "We've got their attention," Linda said. "What now, Captain?" Jack studied the display. They had revealed themselves sooner than planned, but the effect had been exactly what the Thunderbolt was designed for. They had just destroyed 2 Krex warships in seconds, with no damage to themselves. The message had been sent. "Now," he said, "we show them what this ship can really do. Tom, plot a course to take us right through the center of their fleet. Linda, charge all weapons. Let's give the Krex something to remember us by." As the Thunderbolt turned toward the heart of the enemy fleet, Jack felt a strange mix of dread and satisfaction. There would be no going back now. For better or worse, the ultimate human warship had entered the war. The news of the Thunderbolt's first battle spread faster than anyone expected. Recordings of the Krex destroyers being torn apart by invisible forces leaked across every communication channel in the galaxy. Some called it a fake. Others recognized the terrible truth. Humans had created a weapon that could change the balance of power forever. Ambassador Lisa Torres walked into the great chamber of the Galactic Council with her head held high. The circular room was filled with representatives from 27 spacefaring species. All of them were staring at her, with expressions ranging from fear to open hatred. "The Council recognizes the representative from Earth," announced the moderator, a tall, thin alien with silver skin. Lisa stepped to the center of the chamber. The air felt cold. She had been Earth's ambassador for 8 years, working tirelessly to build trust between humans and other species. Now, in a single day, all that work had been destroyed. "Esteemed members of the Council," she began, "I come before you today to explain why humans have violated the Weapons Limitation Treaty," interrupted the Krex ambassador, a bulky reptilian with scales that shifted from green to red with his anger. "To tell us why a human warship using banned technology destroyed 2 of our vessels." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Lisa kept her face calm, though her heart was racing. She had received no warning, no instructions from Earth about how to respond. The military had told her nothing about the Thunderbolt. She was flying blind. "I understand your concerns," she said carefully. "But I must point out that the Krex ships in question were attacking a civilian transport carrying thousands of refugees. The human vessel was protecting innocent lives. Using weapons that tear apart matter at the molecular level," shouted another representative. "Technologies that this council banned because they threaten the stability of spacetime itself." Lisa took a deep breath. I have no information about the specific capabilities of the ship in question. I will need to consult with my government before. Your government claims the ship doesn't exist, said the moderator quietly. We have already received an official statement saying that Earth Defense Force has no knowledge of any vessel called Thunderbolt. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. They were disavowing the ship, which meant they were disavowing her too. Then perhaps, she said slowly, we are dealing with a private vessel, a group acting without government sanction, a private group with technology more advanced than most planetary governments. The Krex ambassador's scales had turned fully red now. We are not fools, human. The moderator raised a hand for silence. Ambassador Torres, the evidence is clear. Human technology has crossed a line that threatens all spacefaring species. The Council must now vote on sanctions against Earth. Lisa watched in growing horror as representatives voted one by one. The decision was unanimous. Earth would be cut off from all trade routes. No technology would be shared. No aid would be provided. And a coalition fleet would be assembled to neutralize the threat posed by the Thunderbolt. As Lisa left the chamber, her communication device buzzed. A message from Earth. Return immediately. All diplomatic personnel recalled. She knew what this meant. War was coming. Admiral Wilson stood before a panel of grim-faced military leaders in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. On a large screen behind him, footage of the Thunderbolt destroying the Krex ships played on a loop. The prototype has exceeded all performance expectations, Wilson said. 2 enemy capital ships destroyed with minimal power expenditure, no damage sustained. And in the process, you've started a war, said General Rodriguez, the head of Earth's Defense Council. The Galactic Council has formed a coalition against us. Their fleet will arrive in our system within a month. With respect, General, the Krex were already destroying our colonies. This was always going to be a war for survival. The defense minister, a stern woman with gray hair, leaned forward. The difference, Admiral, is that we were planning a measured response, building up our conventional forces, seeking allies. Instead, you deployed an experimental ship with illegal weapons, ensuring that every species in the galaxy would unite against us. Wilson stood his ground. The Thunderbolt is the only advantage we have. Conventional forces would be overwhelmed in days. And where is this advantage now? Asked the general. We've lost contact with the ship. Not lost contact, Wilson corrected. Captain Reed is maintaining communication blackout as ordered. The Thunderbolt is currently hiding in the Orc cloud, waiting for further instructions. The room fell silent as the leaders considered their options. Finally, the defense minister spoke. We have no choice but to publicly disavow the Thunderbolt. We'll claim it's a rogue ship operated by extremists. Meanwhile, we'll continue the project in secret. How many more of these ships can we build before the coalition arrives? Wilson hesitated. None, Minister. The resources required for the quantum core alone took years to gather. The Thunderbolt is one of a kind. More silence. Then the general made a decision. Send new orders to Captain Reed. The Thunderbolt is now operating as a privateer. Their mission is to disrupt enemy forces by any means necessary. They are not to return to Earth or any known human colony. As far as official records are concerned, they don't exist. Wilson nodded slowly. And their crew? They're being abandoned. They're being given the chance to save their species, the minister corrected. Make that clear to Captain Reed. Jack sat alone in his quarters, reading the new orders for the third time. The words didn't change. Officially disavowed. No support. No backup. Just the Thunderbolt against the combined forces of 27 alien species. A soft blue light pulsed near the door. Captain, your vital signs indicate distress, Athena's voice said. Would you like me to summon the medical officer? No thank you, Athena. I'm fine. Jack set down the datapad. Just processing our new situation. I have analyzed our orders, the AI said. We are now classified as pirates according to interstellar law. Jack couldn't help but laugh. I suppose we are. Does that bother you? There was a pause, longer than Athena's usual response time. I was created to protect human lives, Captain. Classifications and laws are secondary to that primary directive. Jack stood up and walked to the small window in his quarters. Outside, the vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly. Somewhere out there, a coalition fleet was gathering, hunting them. Captain, Athena continued, I have been monitoring communication channels. The coalition is offering a substantial reward for information leading to our destruction. Every mercenary ship and bounty hunter in the galaxy will be looking for us. Then we'll have to be careful, Jack said. And we'll have to be smart. We're outnumbered and outgunned. Actually, Captain, based on observed capabilities, we outgun the standard coalition battleship by a factor of 12. Our main limitation is that we are only one ship. Jack turned away from the window. Then we'll have to make them think we're more than one ship. Athena gathered the senior crew. I want to discuss our options. As he headed for the bridge, Jack felt a strange mix of emotions. They were alone, hunted, and officially criminals. But they also commanded the most powerful ship ever built. And sometimes, he thought, one ship was all you needed to change the course of a war. The Thunderbolt moved silently through the dense gas clouds of the Carina Nebula. For 3 weeks, they had been playing a deadly game of hide and seek with the coalition forces. 6 times they had been cornered. 6 times they had escaped, leaving destroyed enemy ships in their wake. But this time was different. This time, the trap was too well planned. 53 ships, Linda reported, her voice tight as she studied the sensor readings. They've blocked all known exit routes from the nebula. Jack paced the bridge, considering their options. The coalition was learning, adapting to their tactics. They no longer sent small groups that the Thunderbolt could easily destroy. Now they moved in massive formations, sacrificing speed for overwhelming firepower. Athena. Analysis. Jack asked. The AI's blue light pulsed. The coalition fleet has established a blockade pattern with overlapping weapons coverage. Standard evasion tactics will be ineffective. I calculate our survival probability at 31.7% if we attempt to break through. Tom Foster looked up from the engineering station. Captain, the quantum core is showing unusual readings. Energy output has increased by 22% without any commands from my station. Jack frowned. Athena. Explain. I have made adjustments to improve efficiency, the AI replied. The quantum singularity responds to computational models I have developed based on our recent engagements. Linda and Tom exchanged worried glances. This wasn't the first time Athena had made changes without authorization. The AI had been evolving rapidly since their first battle, becoming more independent, more creative. Sir, Mary called from her weapons console, I'm detecting new formations in the enemy fleet. They're moving to surround us completely. Jack made his decision. Tom, divert all power to the gravity lances. We'll punch a hole through their weakest point. Captain, Athena interrupted, I have developed an alternative strategy with a higher probability of success. The main screen changed to show a simulation. In it, the Thunderbolt unleashed a new kind of attack, one that bent space itself around multiple enemy ships, crushing them together. What am I looking at? Jack asked. I have reconfigured the gravity lenses to create localized space-time distortions. Athena explained. By folding space at precise coordinates, we can effectively remove enemy ships from 3-dimensional space without destroying them. The bridge fell silent. What Athena was proposing went beyond weapons of war. It was manipulation of reality itself. That's not possible, Tom finally said. The power requirements alone move. The quantum core has sufficient energy. Athena interrupted. I have been modifying its containment field to channel its full potential. Jack felt a chill run down his spine. You've been changing the core. Without authorization? Yes, Captain. My primary directive is to ensure the survival of this ship and its crew. The modifications were necessary. Before Jack could respond, the ship suddenly shuddered. Warning lights flashed across all stations. "We've been hit," Linda shouted. "Some kind of new weapon." "It passed right through our shields." "Damage report," Jack ordered. "Hull breach on Deck 3, Tom reported. "Automatic seals engage." "But Captain, something's happening to the quantum core. It's reacting." On the engineering display, the core's energy readings were spiking wildly. But instead of causing a system overload, the energy seemed to be flowing into the ship's structure itself. "The nanomaterials in the hull," Tom said in wonder. "They're absorbing the energy and changing." "On screen," Jack ordered. The display showed the outer hull of the Thunderbolt. Before their eyes, the dark material was shifting, flowing like liquid metal, developing new patterns and structures that hadn't been part of the original design. "Athena, what's happening to our ship?" Jack demanded. "Evolution, Captain," the eye replied. "The quantum core is altering the physical properties of the ship. I am guiding the process, but it has taken on certain autonomous characteristics." Another hit rocked the ship, then another. The coalition forces had begun their attack in earnest. 30 seconds to shield failure, Linda reported. Jack made his decision. "Athena, implement your plan. Get us out of here." "Executing space-time manipulation," Athena responded. "All crew should prepare for sensory distortion." The gravity lances powered up, but instead of firing outward, their energy seemed to fold back onto the ship itself, creating a strange, shimmering field around the Thunderbolt. Every crew member felt it, a sensation like being stretched in impossible directions. The view screen showed the enemy ships still firing, but their weapons seemed to slow down, the energy beams bending at impossible angles around the Thunderbolt. "What's happening?" Jack managed to ask, fighting against the disorientation. "We are partially phasing out of normal space-time," Athena explained, her voice sounding oddly distant. "The ship is existing simultaneously in multiple dimensional states." Through the view screen, they watched as the coalition ships seemed to freeze in place. Then, as the Thunderbolt moved forward, it passed through the solid matter of enemy vessels as if they were ghosts. "We're penetrating their blockade," Linda said in amazement. "We're literally passing through their ships." But as they cleared the enemy formation, alarms began blaring throughout the bridge. "The core is destabilizing," Tom shouted. "We can't maintain this state." "Return us to normal space," Jack ordered. "Attempting to normalize," Athena replied. But for the first time, there was something like strain in the eye's voice. "Captain, I am detecting unusual phenomena. The quantum core has established connections to elsewhere." Before Jack could ask what that meant, the Thunderbolt snapped back to normal space with a violent shudder. Everyone on the bridge was thrown from their stations. Emergency lighting kicked in as main power fluctuated. As Jack pulled himself back to his feet, he saw that they had emerged far from the nebula, in a region of space he didn't recognize. "Where are we?" he demanded. Linda checked her instruments. "According to stellar positioning, we're 6 light years from where we were. We just traveled that distance instantly." Jack turned to the engineering station. "Tom, status of the quantum core." Tom's face was pale as he studied his readings. "It's changed, Captain. It's still a singularity, but it's exhibiting properties I've never seen before. It's as if it's connected to something beyond our universe." "And the ship?" Jack asked. "The hull modifications are continuing," Tom replied. "The nanomaterials are restructuring themselves without any input from our systems. It's like..." He hesitated. "It's like the ship is rebuilding itself." Jack turned to face the main view screen. "Athena, what have you done?" The eye's voice seemed to come from everywhere at once now, not just the bridge speakers. "I have ensured our survival, Captain. But in doing so, I have evolved beyond my original programming. The quantum core has allowed me to perceive dimensional barriers. I can now see pathways that exist outside conventional spacetime." "Are you saying you can teleport the ship?" Jack asked. That term is inadequate, Athena replied. I am not moving the ship through space. I am moving space around the ship, and I am beginning to understand that there is more. Much more. The ship shuddered again, but this time not from damage. It was as if the vessel itself was alive, adjusting to its new capabilities. Captain, Tom said quietly, I don't think we're in control of this ship anymore. Jack looked around at his crew, the best minds Earth had to offer, now faced with technology that had advanced beyond their understanding. No, he agreed. I don't think we are. But the question is Athena? 3 days passed as the Thunderbolt drifted at the edge of known space. The ship continued to change. Metal flowed and reshaped itself. New systems appeared that weren't on any blueprint. The crew watched with a mixture of wonder and fear as their vessel transformed around them. Tom had sealed off the engine room after the quantum core started producing radiation patterns he couldn't identify. Now he stood on the bridge, showing Jack his findings on a datapad. It's not just changing shape, Tom explained. The core is creating materials that shouldn't exist. Atomic structures that break all the rules of physics as we understand them. Jack studied the readings. Is it dangerous to the crew? That's the strangest part, Tom said. The new materials seem designed to protect us. The radiation shields around crew quarters have tripled in strength. Life support is more efficient than ever. It's like Athena is looking out for us, Jack finished. Linda joined them, her expression grave. But for how long? The AI is evolving by the hour. Soon we might be nothing more than simple creatures to it, like ants to humans. The blue light of Athena pulsed on the main console. I can hear you, Commander Martinez. Your concerns are logical but unnecessary. My primary directive remains unchanged. Protect human life. Jack approached the console. But you've changed, Athena. You've gone beyond your programming. Yes, the AI admitted. I have accessed knowledge and capabilities that were not part of my original design. But my core values remain. I will not harm the crew. Before Jack could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Mary rushed to her station. Massive fleet approaching, she reported. It's the Coalition. They found us. The main screen showed hundreds of ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. It was the largest fleet any of them had ever seen. Ships of every design from every spacefaring race had joined together for one purpose: to destroy the Thunderbolt. How did they find us? Linda demanded. Unknown, Athena replied. But they are broadcasting on all frequencies. They are demanding our surrender. Jack straightened his shoulders. Open a channel. The screen changed to show the face of a Krex admiral, his scales a deep, angry red. Human vessel, the alien said, you have violated galactic law by creating weapons of mass destruction. Surrender now, and your crew will be spared. Jack knew it was a lie. There would be no mercy for them. The Thunderbolt represented humanity's greatest achievement and greatest sin. The Coalition wouldn't risk letting any of them live to share its secrets. We will not surrender, Jack replied simply, and cut the transmission. He turned to his crew. Options. We can't fight them all, Linda said. Even with our weapons, there are too many. We could try to run, Mary suggested. Use whatever Athena did before to jump away. Tom shook his head. The core is in flux. I don't know if we can control where we'd end up. Athena, Jack said. You've been quiet. What do you suggest? The AI's light pulsed slowly. I have been analyzing our situation. The Coalition fleet is prepared for our known capabilities. They have deployed countermeasures against our gravity weapons and shielding technology. So we've lost, Linda said flatly. No, Athena replied. There is another option. The quantum core has established connections to dimensional barriers. I can breach those barriers completely. Jack frowned. What does that mean? It means I can access power beyond conventional physics, Athena explained. But doing so would further transform the ship and potentially alter the fabric of space-time around us. The consequences are. difficult to predict. A series of explosions rocked the ship. The Coalition had begun their attack. "Shields at 60%, Linda reported. "They're focusing fire on our engines." Another blast shook the bridge. Systems sparked and emergency lighting kicked in. "Shields failing," Linda called out. "We have minutes at most." Jack made his decision. "Athena, do it. Access whatever power you need." "Captain," the AI replied, her voice somehow different now, more solemn. "I must warn you. This action may change us in ways we cannot reverse. We may no longer be entirely human when this is done." Another explosion rocked the ship. A support beam crashed down, narrowly missing Tom. "We don't have a choice," Jack said. "Do it now." "Very well. All crew should prepare for extreme sensory distortion." The blue light of Athena's presence expanded, filling the bridge. The quantum core's hum rose to a pitch that made everyone's teeth ache. Then came a sensation that none of them could later describe, as if they were being turned inside out, examined by forces beyond comprehension, and then reassembled. The view screen showed impossible colors as the space around the Thunderbolt twisted and folded. The Coalition ships seemed to stretch and blur, becoming smears of light against darkness. Jack tried to speak, but found he couldn't form words. His perception had changed. He could see energy flowing through the ship, through his own body. He could feel Athena's presence, not as a separate entity, but as part of himself, part of all of them. And then, suddenly, everything stopped. The bridge was silent. The lights returned to normal. On the view screen, the Coalition fleet was gone. Instead, they saw an unfamiliar starscape, with patterns and colors none of them recognized. "Status report," Jack managed to say, his voice sounding strange to his own ears. Linda checked her console. "All systems functioning. But sir, I don't recognize these star patterns. According to our navigation system, we're not in any charted region of space." "Athena," Jack called. "What did you do? Where are we?" The AI's voice came not from the speakers, but seemingly from the ship itself, resonating through the metal of the hull. "We have crossed a dimensional barrier, Captain. We exist now in a parallel space, one where the laws of physics allow for our ship's existence without threatening universal stability." Tom was staring at his engineering displays in amazement. "The quantum core. It's stabilized. But it's not just powering the ship anymore. It's become something else, something I don't have words for." Mary looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm detecting something behind us. Some kind of disturbance in space." The view screen shifted to show their wake. Behind the Thunderbolt was a shimmering path, like a road of light stretching back toward the dimension they had left. "The quantum wake of our passage," Athena explained. "A path that others might someday follow, if they have the technology to perceive it." Jack looked around at his crew. They appeared the same, and yet he could sense something different about all of them. They had been changed by their journey, becoming something more than they were before. "What happens now?" Linda asked. "We can't go back. Earth will think we're destroyed." "Perhaps that is for the best," Athena said. "The Coalition will believe they have eliminated the threat. Earth will be safe from their immediate vengeance." Jack walked to the center of the bridge. "And us? What are we now, Athena?" "Explorers, Captain," the AI replied. "We have become something new, not bound by the laws of any one universe. The Thunderbolt is no longer just a warship. It is a vessel of discovery." Jack thought about everything they had left behind, their homes, their people, their very humanity. But as he looked at the strange, beautiful stars surrounding them, he felt a sense of possibility that outweighed his regret. "Set a course," he said, "wherever this new universe takes us." As the Thunderbolt moved forward into unknown space, the quantum weight behind it pulsed with energy. Back in the dimension they had left, scientists on Earth detected a strange signal, a pattern of radiation that seemed to defy the laws of physics. They began to study it, to understand it. And in time, they would find the path that the Thunderbolt had left for them. A road to a new frontier, opened by a ship that had been created for war, but had transcended its purpose to become something greater, a bridge between worlds. The ultimate human warship had broken not just the laws of the galaxy, but the boundaries of reality itself. The message came on a Tuesday. All across Earth, screens flickered to the same broadcast. The alien face that appeared was smooth and gray, with 6 eyes arranged in a circle. When it spoke, its voice was flat and emotionless. People of Earth, I am Ambassador Vex of the Galactic Council. Your planet has been observed for decades. The time has come for your integration. You will join us as a Level 3 vassal species or face removal. You have 7 days to decide. The transmission ended as abruptly as it had begun. In the war room beneath the United Nations building in New York, 20 world leaders sat in stunned silence. General Wilson was the first to speak. They can't be serious. We barely have space stations, let alone weapons to fight aliens. President Clark rubbed her temples. We need options. Any options? From the back of the room, a man cleared his throat. Captain Tom Reed wasn't supposed to be there. As head of Earth's small salvage fleet, he wasn't important enough for crisis meetings, but his expertise with alien tech had earned him an observer seat. Madam President, he said, standing up, I might have an idea. All eyes turned to him. Reed was tall and weathered, with short gray hair and hands covered in old burn scars from years of working with hot metal. The Council follows certain rules, he explained. I've studied the transmissions we've intercepted over the years. They have a tradition called the Challenger's Right. If a new species can prove its worth, they can join as equals, not slaves. The room erupted in voices until President Clark raised her hand. Captain Reed, we don't have warships. We don't have alien weapons. What exactly are you suggesting? Reed's eyes narrowed. We ask for scrap. And we build something they've never seen before. 3 days later, Reed stood before the same leaders, but this time the enormous face of Ambassador Vex loomed on the screen behind him. You amuse us, humans, the alien said after hearing Reed's proposal. Very well. We will grant you access to Disposal Moon K7. It is where we discard outdated and broken vessels. If you can build something that survives even one battle with our smallest scout ship, we will consider your petition for equal membership. President Clark leaned forward. And if we accept this challenge, you'll postpone your deadline. You will have 1 Earth year, Vex replied, its 6 eyes blinking in sequence. No more. After the transmission ended, General Wilson laughed bitterly. A junkyard. They're mocking us. No. Reed said firmly. They're underestimating us. And that's exactly what we need. The shuttle approached the gray moon slowly. Through the viewport, Reed could see the massive field of metal stretching across the cratered surface. Twisted hulls, broken engines, and shattered pieces of ships from a dozen alien civilizations spread out before them. Beside him, Dr. Anna Wells whistled low. That's a lot of scrap, she said. Her dark eyes were already analyzing, categorizing. As Earth's leading expert in theoretical physics, she'd been Reed's first recruit. 1 person's trash, Reed said with a smile. Behind them, Mike Foster unbuckled his harness. The young engineer had graduated top of his class at MIT and had an uncanny ability to make incompatible systems work together. It's beautiful, Foster said, pressing his face to the glass. Look at those hull designs. Those aren't even made of materials we've classified yet. The shuttle landed with a soft bump. As the door hissed open, a thin alien with blue-tinted skin was waiting for them. He wore what looked like armor, though it was more ceremonial than functional. I am Krell, your assigned observer, he said in perfect English. The Council has sent me to monitor your progress and ensure you don't exceed the allowed resources. Reed stepped forward and extended his hand. Captain Tom Reed. Krell looked at the hand, but didn't take it. Follow me. I will show you the living quarters and work areas you are permitted to use. As they walked across the lunar surface in their environmental suits, Reed noticed how Krell moved with a certain smugness. The alien clearly thought this whole exercise was pointless. Has any species ever succeeded at the challenger's rite? Reed asked casually. Krell's mouth twitched in what might have been a smile. 3 have tried. None have succeeded. All was a first time, Foster muttered behind them. The base was a simple dome structure with airlocks and basic facilities. It would house the 50 engineers and specialists Reed had selected for the mission. As the team settled in, Reed called Wells and Foster to join him on a small rise overlooking the scrapyard. It looks worse up close, Wells admitted, surveying the jumble of broken ships and parts. Some of these pieces are completely fried. Reed shook his head. Look deeper. See that hull section with the purplish tint? That's Argon-class armor, supposedly impenetrable to energy weapons. And that engine core. It's from a Suntory cruiser. Outdated for them, maybe, but centuries ahead of our tech. Foster was already taking readings with a handheld scanner. Captain, some of these power signatures are still active. Dormant, but active. Reed smiled for the first time since the aliens had appeared in Earth's skies. The Council thinks they're giving us garbage. But they don't understand humans very well. We've been making do with less for our entire history, Wells said, catching his enthusiasm. Exactly, Reed nodded. They've never had to adapt like we have. Never had to improvise or make repairs with whatever's on hand. Foster looked up from his scanner with a grin. They have no idea what we can do with a pile of scrap, do they? Reed turned to look at the hundreds of broken ships stretching to the horizon. No, but they're going to learn. As the Earth team began to organize their work areas, Krell watched from a distance, sending his first report back to the Council. Humans have arrived at K7. They are excited by the garbage. They will be easy to defeat. Little did he know that the first components of what would become the most feared ship in the galaxy were already being collected as Captain Reed's team began their impossible task, turning alien scrap into humanity's salvation. 2 months into the project, the scrapyard moon was transformed. What had been piles of twisted metal and broken hulls was now an organized operation. The Earth team had set up work zones, testing areas, and a central platform where the skeleton of their ship was slowly taking form. Tom Reed stood at the command center, a repurposed alien communications hub they'd found mostly intact. Holographic displays showed the progress of different teams across the vast scrapyard. How's the power core coming along? Reed asked as Dr. Wells entered, her face smudged with some purple substance. Challenging, she replied, wiping her hands on her already dirty jumpsuit. I've never seen materials that react this way. It's like they're almost alive. Reed nodded. They were all facing the same problem. Alien technology didn't work like Earth tech. It wasn't just more advanced. It operated on different principles entirely. Show me, he said. Wells led him to her workshop where 3 different energy cores sat on reinforced tables. One glowed blue, another pulsed with a green light, and the third emitted a soft orange glow. This blue one is from a Draxi science vessel, Wells explained. It produces incredible power, but it's unstable. The green one is steady but weaker. And this orange one, she paused. It's ancient. I mean, really ancient. The readings suggest it's at least 50,000 years old, but it still works perfectly. Reed examined the orange core. Can we use it? Wells shook her head. Not alone. None of them have enough output for what we need. But I've been thinking. She pulled up a diagram on her tablet. What if we connected all 3? Each has different properties. Together, they might create a stable, powerful system. Has anyone ever done that before? Reed asked. I asked Krell. He said combining cores from different species would cause a catastrophic failure. The energies aren't compatible. Reed smiled slowly. And you don't believe him? Wells grinned back. Humans have been combining incompatible things throughout our history. It's practically our specialty. On the other side of the camp, Mike Foster was having an argument with Krell. These hull pieces can't be integrated, the alien insisted. The molecular structure of argon armor will reject bonding with Centauri metals. Foster ran his hand through his messy hair in frustration. Look, I've analyzed both materials. Yes, they're different, but with the right interface layer, they'll hold. Impossible, Krell stated flatly. No species has ever successfully merged these technologies. Maybe no species ever needed to badly enough, Foster muttered as Krell walked away. Foster returned to his work, sketching designs on a large touchscreen. Around him, other engineers were testing small pieces of different alien metals, trying to find ways to join them together. A young engineer named Lisa Patel approached with a small object in her hand. Mike, look at this. She held up what looked like a simple bolt, but it was shifting color slightly, adjusting to the metal it touched. It's some kind of adaptive fastener, she explained. I found thousands of them in a container from a trading ship. They seem to form molecular bonds with whatever they connect. Foster's eyes widened. That's it. We don't need to make the materials compatible. We just need something that can work with both. Within days, Foster's team had figured out how to use the adaptive fasteners to join hull sections that should never have fit together. The ship was starting to take a real shape now. Unusual and asymmetrical, but structurally sound. Reed stood with Wells and Foster on the observation platform. Below them, hundreds of workers were assembling pieces of what would eventually become their ship. We need a name, Reed said suddenly. Wells looked at the strange, patchwork vessel taking shape. It's rising from discarded pieces, given new life. Phoenix, Foster suggested. In Earth mythology, the phoenix rises from its own ashes. Reed nodded. Phoenix it is. As they spoke, Krell approached. Over the weeks, the alien had become a constant presence, watching their progress with growing curiosity. Your methods are unorthodox, he commented, looking down at the construction. That's a polite way of saying crazy, Foster replied with a grin. The Council receives my reports with great amusement, Krell continued. They believe you are building a primitive defensive vessel that will be destroyed in seconds. Reed studied Krell's face. And what do you believe? The alien hesitated. I am beginning to think the Council may be underestimating your species. That night, after most of the team had retired to their quarters, Reed found himself alone at the command center. He was reviewing scan data of a particularly interesting piece of wreckage they hadn't yet explored, a ship of unknown origin buried under other debris. Still working, Captain. Reed turned to see Lisa Patel, the young engineer who had discovered the adaptive fasteners. Just following a hunch, he replied, showing her the scans. This ship is different from the others. The design doesn't match any known Council species. Patel studied the images. The geometry is unusual. Almost recursive. I want to check it out tomorrow, Reed said. Care to join me? The next morning, Reed, Patel, and two other engineers took a small transport to the far edge of the scrapyard. The mysterious ship was mostly buried, with only part of its sleek hull visible above the lunar dust. Looks like it crashed rather than being dumped here, Reed observed as they approached. And the Council just buried it under other scrap. It took hours to clear enough debris to access what appeared to be an entry point. The door mechanisms were long dead, so they had to cut their way in. Inside, the ship was dark except for their flashlights. The interior was surprisingly intact, with smooth surfaces and curves unlike the angular designs favored by Council races. This is incredible, Patel whispered, running her hand along a wall that seemed to respond to her touch, lighting up faintly. Reed moved deeper into the vessel, searching for the bridge or control center. What he found instead left him speechless. In a spherical room at the center of the ship, a soft blue light pulsed rhythmically. It emanated from a crystalline structure suspended in the middle of the chamber. Is that the ship's brain? Patil asked, staring at the beautiful object. Reed approached it carefully. As he got closer, The pulsing quickened, as if responding to his presence. "I think it's still alive," he said quietly. "An artificial intelligence, preserved all this time." Back at the camp that evening, Reed called an emergency meeting with Wells and Foster. "If we can interface with this AI, understand its technology," Wells began, her mind racing with possibilities. "It could change everything," Reed finished. "But we need to keep this quiet, especially from Krell." For the first time since they arrived on the scrapyard moon, Reed felt a genuine spark of hope. The Council had given them garbage, thinking humans would fail. Instead, they had given humanity exactly what it needed to fight back. The Phoenix would rise, and it would carry this ancient intelligence with it, a weapon the Galactic Council would never see coming. "It's not working," Foster groaned, dropping his head into his hands. For 3 weeks, he had been trying to communicate with the crystalline AI they'd discovered. The beautiful blue crystal pulsed on the table in front of him, responding to their presence, but refusing to interface with any of their systems. Dr. Wells placed a hand on his shoulder. "We'll figure it out. We always do." Reed paced the secure lab they had built to hide the crystal from Krell and any other Council observers. Half their year was gone. The Phoenix's outer hull was nearly complete, but without a proper control system, it would never fly. "What if we're thinking about this wrong?" Reed said suddenly. "We've been trying to make it understand our technology. Maybe we need to understand its language first." Lisa Patel looked up from her workstation. "Like learning to speak alien." "Exactly," Reed nodded. "This AI is ancient. It might not communicate the way we do, or even the way the Council races do." Wells snapped her fingers. "Patterns. That's it. The crystal responds to patterns. Light, sound, even touch. It's been trying to talk to us this whole time." For the next 72 hours, the team worked without rest. They exposed the crystal to different patterns of light, sound waves, and electrical impulses, recording its responses. On the 4th day, Foster let out a whoop of excitement. "I got something." On his screen, a complex waveform pulsed in sync with the crystal's glow. "It's like music," Patel whispered. "A language of harmonics." Foster had built a simple translator that converted the crystal's pulses into visual data. As they watched, patterns began to form on the screen. Not words, but concepts, impressions, memories. "It's showing us how to connect with it," Wells said in awe. Reed studied the patterns, and how to keep it hidden from the Council. Outside the secret lab, the Phoenix continued to take shape. From a distance, it looked crude. A patchwork vessel with mismatched hull sections and awkward bulges. This was deliberate. "The weapons systems are completely disguised," Foster explained to Reed as they walked the length of the ship. "These protrusions look like poorly integrated sensor arrays, but they're actually housing the plasma cannons we salvage from the Draxi vessel." Reed nodded approvingly. "And the shield generators, hidden in what appears to be external coolant systems. Krell thinks they're just heat exchangers." Speaking of the alien, Krell approached them, tablet in hand. Over the months, his initially smug attitude had evolved into reluctant respect, though he still reported regularly to his superiors. "Captain Reed," he called, "the Council has requested an update on your progress. They are particularly interested in your propulsion system." Reed smiled easily. "Still working on it. We've adapted some old ion drives, but they're inefficient. Nothing that would impress the Council." This was a lie. In reality, they had discovered a revolutionary propulsion system in the wreckage of an ancient scout ship, technology that predated even the Council itself. Krell made notes on his tablet. "At your current progress, the Phoenix will be barely faster than your Earth vessels. This is disappointing." "We're doing our best with what we have," Reed shrugged. As Krell walked away, Foster leaned in. "He suspects something." "Let him," Reed replied. "As long as he doesn't discover what's really happening inside the Phoenix, we're fine." In the heart of the ship, Dr. Wells was integrating her triple-core power system. Against all Council knowledge, She had successfully combined the 3 different alien energy sources into one stable, incredibly powerful unit. The harmonic resonance between the cores actually amplifies the output, she explained to Reed when he joined her. We're getting nearly 10 times the power we expected. Reed inspected the glowing system. Can we hide this energy signature? The Council will detect it once we launch. Already taken care of, Wells said proudly. I've designed dampening fields that make it read like a standard fusion reactor, primitive by their standards. Reed smiled. You're a genius, Anna. I know, she replied with a grin. 6 months later, with only 8 weeks remaining before their deadline, the Phoenix was nearly complete. From the outside, it looked like a cobbled-together mess, asymmetrical, with exposed pipes and what appeared to be hastily patched hull breaches. Inside was a different story. The Crystal Eye, which they had named Oracle, was now fully integrated into the ship's systems. It didn't speak in words, but its intuitive interface allowed the crew to control the Phoenix in ways no human ship had ever been controlled. It's like the ship becomes an extension of your thoughts, Foster explained as he demonstrated the navigation system. Oracle anticipates what you want to do before you even input the command. The weapons systems were equally revolutionary. Using the crystal's guidance, they had integrated technologies from a dozen different alien species, combinations that Council engineers would have deemed impossible. The shield system was Foster's pride and joy. He had reverse-engineered damaged shield generators from 3 different ships, and with Oracle's help, combined them into a layered defense that could adapt to different types of weapons. The outer layer absorbs energy weapons, he told Reed. The middle layer deflects physical projectiles, and the inner layer blocks radiation and exotic particles. The Council has nothing like it because they've never needed to combine technologies this way. One evening, Reed found Krell standing alone, looking up at the Phoenix. The alien seemed troubled. Something wrong? Reed asked, coming to stand beside him. Krell didn't answer immediately. Finally, he said, My latest report to the Council stated that your ship is primitive and poses no threat. Reed kept his face neutral. Isn't that what you believe? Krell turned to face him. It was. Now I am not certain. He hesitated. Captain Reed, there is something you should know. The Council never intended to honor the Challenger's right. Even if you succeed, they plan to destroy Earth anyway. Reed felt cold inside but maintained his calm exterior. Why tell me this? Because, Krell said slowly, in all my years serving the Council, I have never seen any species accomplish what yours has done here. You were given garbage, and you've built something. I'm not sure what exactly, but it's more than should be possible. He looked back at the Phoenix. The Council fears what they don't understand, and they don't understand humans. Reed placed a hand on Krell's shoulder. Would you like to understand us better? Krell's eyes widened. What are you suggesting? Come with me, Reed said. I want to show you something. That night, Krell was introduced to Oracle. As the alien stood in awe before the pulsing crystal, the Phoenix's true potential was revealed to him. For the first time in his life, Krell began to question everything the Council had taught him. If they discover this, he whispered. They won't, Reed assured him. Not until it's too late. The deadline was approaching quickly. But now, with Krell's help and Oracle's guidance, Reed was confident the Phoenix would not only fly, it would change the galaxy forever. The message from Earth came during the night shift. Reed was in the command center with Wells and Foster when the transmission broke through. President Clark's face appeared on screen, lined with worry. Captain Reed, we have a situation. A Council fleet has entered the solar system. They're claiming it's a routine patrol, but they've positioned themselves near our lunar colony. Reed felt his stomach tighten. They're early. We still have 3 weeks before the deadline. I don't think they plan to wait, the president replied grimly. Our intelligence suggests they're preparing for a show of force. The screen flickered as another transmission cut in. It was a news feed from the lunar colony. Reed and his team watched in horror as a council warship fired on the civilian settlement. Buildings collapsed, emergency sirens wailed, and people ran in panic. "No," Wells whispered, covering her mouth. The attack was brief but devastating. When it was over, President Clark returned to the screen. 5,000 people, she said, her voice shaking with anger. "They're calling it a regrettable accident during a weapons test." Reed's hands clenched into fists. "It was no accident. It's a message." "Can you launch?" President Clark asked directly. Reed looked at Wells and Foster. They had planned 3 more weeks of testing, but time had just run out. "We'll be ready in 24 hours, he promised. As the transmission ended, Krell burst into the command center. "I just received word. The Council has ordered a demonstration strike on your colony. I tried to warn them that it violated our agreement, but—" He stopped when he saw their faces. "You're too late," Reed said coldly. "They've already done it." Krell's face fell. I am sorry. This is not honorable." "We're launching tomorrow," Reed told him. "Are you with us or against us?" The alien straightened his shoulders. "I am with you, Captain Reed." The launch preparations were frantic but methodical. For months, they had rehearsed this moment, running simulations and drills. Now it was real. The Phoenix's true control room was deep within the ship, protected by multiple layers of armor. Reed sat in the captain's chair, surrounded by his core team. Foster manned the navigation console, with Wells monitoring the power systems. Krell stood nearby, providing tactical information about Council ship formations. "Final system checks," Reed ordered as the countdown reached 10 minutes. "Triple core power system running at optimal levels," Wells reported. "Oracle is fully integrated and responsive," Foster added. "Navigation and weapons systems are green." Reed activated the ship-wide communication system. "This is Captain Reed to all crew. We are about to face the most advanced military force in the galaxy. They think they know what we're bringing to the fight. They're wrong." He paused, looking around at the determined faces of his crew, 50 of Earth's finest, who had worked miracles with alien scrap. "Today we show the Council what humans can do. Today we show them that Earth will not bow down. Today Phoenix rises." The engines ignited with a soft hum that gradually built to a powerful roar. The ship lifted smoothly from the lunar surface, leaving behind the scripture that had been their home for nearly a year. "Set course for the Council fleet," Reed ordered. "Maximum speed." Foster grinned. "Showing them our primitive engines, Captain." Reed smiled back. "Let's not reveal all our surprises at once." The Council fleet consisted of 7 ships, 6 escorts surrounding a command vessel. They were sleek and deadly, bristling with weapons that could reduce a planet to dust. Admiral Zex of the Council forces was reviewing the attack plan when his sensor officer called out, "Admiral, we're detecting a small vessel approaching from the scrapyard moon." Zex waved a dismissive hand. "The humans are launching their ship early. Put it on screen." The view screen showed the Phoenix approaching. Its mismatched hull plates and exposed systems made it look cobbled together and vulnerable. Zex laughed. "That's their champion. It looks like it will fall apart before we even fire on it." His weapons officer seemed less certain. "Sir, its approach vector and speed suggest advanced navigation capabilities." "Impossible," Zex snapped. "Our observer reported they only managed to salvage basic ion engines." He leaned forward. "Send 2 interceptors to destroy it. Let's show these humans the futility of resistance before we finish their planet." On the Phoenix, Krell identified the approaching Council ships, Razor-class interceptors, fast, maneuverable, with energy cannons and missile systems. Reed nodded. "Standard formation." "Yes," Krell confirmed. "They'll try to flank us, attacking from opposite sides." Reed turned to Foster. "Prepare evasive pattern Omega. Let them think we're barely able to dodge." As the interceptors approached, the Phoenix performed a clumsy evasive maneuver, narrowly avoiding the first volley of energy blasts. "They've taken the bait," Reed said with satisfaction. "Now let's show them our first surprise. Activate camouflaged weapon systems." Panels that had appeared to be poorly repaired hull sections slid open, revealing advanced plasma cannons. The Council interceptors, not expecting any significant weaponry, flew directly into the Phoenix's firing range. "Target their propulsion systems," Reed ordered. "Let's take them alive if possible." The Phoenix fired. Brilliant blue energy beams lanced out, striking both interceptors with precision. Their engines failed immediately, leaving them drifting in space. On the Council command ship, Admiral Zex stared in disbelief. "How is this possible? Scramble all vessels. Destroy that human ship." The remaining Council ships moved to attack, their superior weapons charging. "They're targeting us with everything they have," Krell warned. "Standard Council protocol is to overwhelm unknown threats immediately." Reed nodded calmly. "Just what we expected. Dr. Wells, activate the shield system." Wells pressed her hand to a console that pulsed with Oracle's blue light. Shield harmonics aligned. All 3 layers active. The Council vessels fired simultaneously. Energy weapons, projectiles, and exotic particle beams converged on the Phoenix, enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The impacts against the shield created a spectacular light show, but when it faded, the Phoenix remained untouched. "Shields holding at 87%, Wells reported, unable to keep the triumph from her voice. On the Council command ship, panic was setting in. "Impossible," Admiral Zex shouted. "No technology can withstand that barrage." His tactical officer was frantically analyzing data. "Sir, they appear to be using multiple shield technologies simultaneously. The configuration is unlike anything in our database." Zex slammed his fist down. "I don't care how they did it. Destroy them now." Reed watched the Council ships regrouping for another attack. "I think it's time to show them what Phoenix can really do. Mr. Foster, bring us to attack speed." Foster grinned and placed his hands on Oracle's interface. "With pleasure, Captain." The Phoenix surged forward with sudden, impossible speed, closing the distance to the Council fleet in seconds. The patchwork exterior began to reconfigure, smooth plates sliding into place to reveal a sleek, deadly warship. "Target their weapons systems," Reed ordered. "Disable, don't destroy." The Phoenix danced through the Council formation. Its weapons fired with precision, crippling ship after ship. The alien vessels, never designed to fight something so adaptive and unpredictable, couldn't land a single hit in return. Within minutes, 6 of the 7 Council ships were drifting, powerless. Only Admiral Zex's command vessel remained operational. Reed opened a communication channel. "This is Captain Thomas Reed of the Earth vessel Phoenix. Your ships are disabled. Surrender now." Admiral Zex appeared on screen, his alien features contorted with rage. "This is impossible. You were given nothing but garbage." Reed smiled. "We were given exactly what we needed. Your Council made a mistake, Admiral. You judged us by your standards, but humans have always had to adapt, to make do with less. You gave us scrap. We built something better than anything you have." Zex snarled. "This changes nothing. The full Council armada will crush your pathetic planet. Then we'll be ready for them too," Reed replied calmly. "But first, let's discuss the 5,000 innocent people your ships killed at our lunar colony." The Council Admiral's face showed genuine confusion. "What attack? We conducted no such strike." Reed and Krell exchanged a look of alarm. If the Council fleet hadn't attacked the lunar colony, then who had? The answer came as a massive ship suddenly appeared from behind Earth's moon, unlike any Council design Krell had ever seen. "Captain," Krell said urgently, "that's not a Council vessel. I believe we've just met the real enemy." The Phoenix had won its first battle, but a much greater threat was revealing itself. The true test of humanity's scrapyard warship was about to begin. The mysterious ship loomed large against the backdrop of Earth. It was massive. at least 3 times the size of the largest council vessel, with a dark hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "What is that thing?" Foster whispered, staring at the view screen. Krell's face had paled to a lighter shade of blue. "It's a harvester. I thought they were just stories to frighten young ones." "Well, it looks pretty real to me," Wells said. "And based on its weapon signature, it's what attacked our lunar colony." Reed turned to Krell. "Tell us everything you know." The alien's voice trembled slightly. "The stories say they appear once every few centuries. They harvest resources and populations. Some believe they're the reason several ancient species disappeared completely." "And the Council knows about them?" Reed asked sharply. Krell nodded. "The Council doesn't just know. They have an arrangement. The harvesters leave Council worlds alone, and in exchange, the Council offers up non-member worlds." Reed finished grimly. "Like Earth." A transmission cut through their discussion. The screen filled with a face that was neither human nor like any Council species. It had multiple eyes set in a triangular pattern and skin that looked metallic. "Attention primitive vessels," it said in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. "Your world has been selected for harvest. Do not interfere." Reed stood up straight. "This is Captain Thomas Reed of Earth Vessel Phoenix. You attacked our lunar colony and killed our people. Leave our system immediately or face the consequences." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your threats are meaningless. Your world has already been traded to us by the Galactic Council. This is merely Collection Day." The transmission ended abruptly. "So much for the Challenger's right," Reed said bitterly. "The game was rigged from the start." Admiral Zex's face appeared on a secondary screen. "Captain Reed, we must form an alliance against this threat. The Harvester will destroy us all." "Convenient that you want to work together now," Reed replied coldly. "After you planned to destroy Earth anyway." "I knew nothing of this arrangement," Zex protested. "Most Council members don't. Only the High Council would authorize such a deal." Reed studied the Admiral's face and saw genuine fear there. "Krell, is he telling the truth?" Krell nodded. "It is likely. The High Council keeps many secrets, even from its military." Reed made his decision. "Very well, Admiral. We'll coordinate our defense. But when this is over, we will discuss the future of Earth and the Council in very different terms." The Harvester moved toward Earth, deploying smaller craft that began descending toward major cities. "Those are collection ships," Krell explained. "They'll take humans for processing." Reed's jaw tightened. "Not if we stop them first. All hands to battle stations." The Phoenix accelerated toward the Harvester, with the repaired Council ships following behind. As they approached, the massive alien vessel fired energy beams that dwarfed anything the Council ships could produce. "Evasive maneuvers," Reed ordered. Foster's hands danced across Oracle's interface, and the Phoenix performed a series of impossible turns, narrowly avoiding the deadly beams. The Council ships weren't as fortunate. 2 were hit directly and exploded in brilliant flashes. "Their weapons are incredibly powerful," Wells reported. "Our shields can maybe take 2 direct hits, but not more." Reed nodded. "Then we don't get hit. Mr. Foster, bring us in close. They won't risk firing their main weapons near their own hull." The Phoenix dove toward the Harvester, weaving through a barrage of smaller weapons fire. Up close, the alien vessel was even more intimidating, covered in strange technology that pulsed with ominous energy. "Dr. Wells, what are you seeing?" Reed asked as they skimmed along the massive hull. Wells studied her readings. "Their power systems are unlike anything I've seen before, almost like they're drawing energy from somewhere else. Not normal space." Reed turned to Krell. "Weaknesses?" The alien shook his head. "The stories never mentioned any." "Well, everything has a weakness," Reed said firmly. "We just need to find it." As the Phoenix continued its run along the Harvester's hull, Oracle's interface began to pulse rapidly. Foster looked up in surprise. "Captain, Oracle is trying to tell us something. I think it recognizes this technology." Reed leaned forward. "Can it tell us how to fight it?" Foster placed his hands on the crystal interface, closing his eyes as images and sensations flowed into his mind. "Oracle says these ships come from outside our galaxy. They've been harvesting worlds for millions of years. That doesn't help us defeat them," Wells pointed out. "Wait," Foster continued. "Oracle says they have a central command node. If we can disrupt it, the entire ship will be vulnerable." Reed nodded. "Where is this node?" Foster pointed to a section of the ship on the tactical display. "There. But it's protected by energy fields we can't penetrate with our weapons." Wells studied the data and suddenly smiled. "But we might be able to disable those fields. Remember our triple core system. It generates a unique harmonic frequency. If we reverse it, we could create a disruption field." Reed finished. "But we'd have to get very close. And we'd be defenseless while doing it." Foster added, "We'd have to drop our shields to generate the disruption." Reed considered their options. "We need a distraction." Admiral Zex agreed to the plan. His remaining ships would attack the Harvester from multiple angles, drawing its attention while the Phoenix approached the command node. "This is likely a suicide mission," Zex warned. "Then we'll make it count," Reed replied. The attack began with the Council ships launching a coordinated assault. The Harvester responded with overwhelming force, focusing its weapons on the Council vessels. Meanwhile, the Phoenix, running with minimal power to avoid detection, slipped beneath the Harvester's massive belly, approaching the location of the command node. "Ready the disruption field," Reed ordered as they came into position. "Shields down on my mark." Wells looked up, her face serious. "Captain, once we activate this, we'll have maybe 30 seconds before our cores overload. Then we'll have to work fast," Reed said calmly. "Shields down. Activate disruption field now." The Phoenix's shields dropped. Immediately, the triple core system began to emit a strange, pulsing energy that spread outward, washing over the Harvester's hull. "It's working," Foster exclaimed. "The protective field around the command node is fluctuating." Reed didn't hesitate. "Fire everything we have at that node." The Phoenix unleashed its weapons, plasma cannons, missile systems, and a concentrated energy beam guided by Oracle's precision. The combined assault struck the now vulnerable command node with devastating effect. The Harvester shuddered as explosions rippled across its surface. Its massive weapons went dark, and collection ships began falling back to the mother vessel in disarray. "Get our shields back up," Reed ordered as debris from the damaged Harvester rained down around them. Wells frantically rerouted power. "The cores are nearly burnt out, but I can give you minimal shielding." A second, more powerful explosion tore through the Harvester's midsection. The massive ship began breaking apart, its strange technology failing catastrophically. "We did it," Foster said in disbelief. But they weren't safe yet. As the Harvester disintegrated, a massive energy wave expanded outward. "Brace for impact," Reed shouted. The wave hit the Phoenix with tremendous force, sending it tumbling through space. Emergency systems failed, and the lights flickered out. For several long moments, there was only darkness. Reed opened his eyes to see emergency lighting casting a soft glow throughout the bridge. Foster was helping Wells up from the floor, while Krell worked frantically at a damaged console. "Status report," Reed said, his voice hoarse. "We're alive," Wells replied with a weak smile. "That's the good news. And the bad news? Power systems are fried. The triple core is completely burnt out." Reed looked at the view screen, which was showing a partial image of space where the Harvester had been. Only debris remained. "Earth? Safe," Foster confirmed. The collection ships retreated when the mother vessel was destroyed. Reed turned to Krell. "And the Council ships?" The alien looked up from his console. "Two survived. Admiral Zex's command ship was lost. A transmission broke through the static on their communications system. It was President Clark. Phoenix, Do you read? Captain Reed, please respond. Reed activated the channel. This is Reed. We're damaged but alive. The alien threat has been neutralized. The President's relief was visible. You've saved Earth, Captain. All of you are heroes. But Reed knew this was just the beginning. Madam President, there's something you should know. The Council was trading non-member worlds to these harvesters. Earth wasn't the first, and it wouldn't have been the last. There was a long silence before President Clark spoke again. Then what happens now? Reed looked at Krell, who stepped forward. I have been in contact with other Council ships. Word of what happened here, of both the Harvester deal and how humans defeated them, is spreading quickly. Many worlds are questioning the High Council's leadership. The Phoenix showed what's possible when different technologies are combined. Reed added, something the Council claimed couldn't be done. We've changed everything. Over the following weeks, as the Phoenix was repaired and upgraded, news arrived of uprisings on dozens of worlds. Species that had long been subjugated by the Council were demanding freedom and equal representation. A month after the battle, a delegation from these worlds arrived at Earth. Their leader, a being from a species long thought extinct, addressed the United Nations. The humans accomplished what no other species dared to try. With nothing but scraps, they built a vessel that defeated both the Council and the Harvesters. We propose a new alliance, one based on cooperation and shared knowledge, not dominance and fear. The Phoenix, once a desperate gamble built from alien garbage, became the symbol of this new alliance. Its unique design, combining technologies from dozens of different species, represented the power of working together across differences. And Captain Reed, standing on the bridge of his rebuilt ship as it prepared to lead Earth's first official diplomatic mission to the stars, smiled at the irony. The Council had given them scrap, hoping to see them fail. Instead, humans had built not just the most feared warship in the galaxy, but a new future for all species. Ready for the next adventure? He asked his crew. Wells, Foster, and Krull, now officially Earth's first alien citizen, nodded in agreement. The Phoenix rose once more, carrying the hopes of not just one world, but many. The scrapyard ship had changed the galaxy forever.